Switching to a pair of siblings named Gilbert and Alice who join a wagon train heading to Oregon. Gilbert also brings his dog with him. Gilbert is a businessman who always fails in his ventures. However, he has a business partner who is willing to marry Alice in Oregon. One night, while resting, Alice wakes up due to Gilbert's severe coughing. In fact, Gilbert suffers from cholera but forces himself to make the journey for his sister's future. Unfortunately, the next morning, Alice finds Gilbert dead. The convoy leaders, Arthur and Billy, meet Alice. They ask if Alice still wants to continue the journey or return. Alice, realizing she has no one left, decides to continue the journey with them. After burying Gilbert, they continue their journey. One night, Alice meets Arthur and Billy to inform them that the man hired by her brother to take care of their wagon has demanded half his salary. It turns out that Gilbert promised a salary of $400, and the first half is to be paid when they reach halfway. The problem is Alice has no money. She thinks the money was buried with Gilbert's body, and it is impossible to go back and retrieve it. Billy suspects that the man was lying about the amount of his salary because it is too high. So, he suggests that Alice ignore the man. Billy then tells Alice about the complaints from the passengers about the barking of her dog. But Alice says that the dog belongs to Gilbert, so she feels no responsibility. Hearing this, Billy takes the dog away. The journey continues, and Alice keeps asking Billy for advice on how to deal with the salary demand from the wagon handler. As a result, Billy decides to propose to Alice so that he can take care of Gilbert's debt. Billy explains that he has been working as a wagon driver for 15 years, so now he feels it's time to settle down and have a family. Hearing this, of course, Alice is very surprised and confused. But on the other hand, she feels very comfortable with Billy's attentive attitude during their journey. Therefore, Alice accepts Billy's proposal. A few days later, during the journey, Arthur discovers fresh horse tracks. This makes him worried, so he checks the number of passengers. Indeed, he finds that Alice is missing. The wagon handler informs him that Alice left to chase after the sound of her dog barking. Therefore, Arthur immediately goes to look for Alice. After some distance, Arthur finally finds Alice with the dog barking at a prairie dog. However, along with this, Arthur sees an Indian watching them. Arthur tries to give a sign of peace, but gets no response. Realizing that the Indian is not alone and they don't have time to escape, Arthur prepares to face the attack. Arthur knows that the holes made by the prairie dogs will give him an advantage to hold out. Arthur then gives Alice a weapon and asks her to use it to end her own life if he fails to protect them, as death would be better than being captured by the Indian tribe. From there, a battle cannot be avoided. Indeed, the prairie dog burrows help Arthur, causing the Indian leader to fall and his men to retreat. Unfortunately, unexpectedly, an Indian warrior who suddenly appears from behind his horse manages to take down Arthur. But Arthur, who is only pretending to be unconscious, immediately kills the warrior as he approaches. Unfortunately, Arthur also finds Alice, who is already lifeless. It turns out that Alice thought Arthur was dead and followed his advice to end her own life. After covering Alice's body with his coat, Arthur decides to return to the convoy with Gilbert's dog. And he doesn't know what he will say to Billy. Okay, thank you for watching until the end of this content. Sorry for any shortcomings from us. Hope you are entertained and always healthy. Awesome.